相手の言うことを理解できないと非常に難しいと。だから理解力、まず上げないといけない。
そうですね。
この会話においてはですね、やはりその自信が非常に大事なんですよ。だから、頑張ってくださいというよりも、もう楽しく勉強してください。
Konnichiwa, good afternoon, what's up? It's Rupa Sensei here, and I'm back with the Linguist Master, the speaker of 20 languages. You probably remember him from previous videos, Lingo Steve. Konnichiwa, 元気ですか？
はい、こんにちは。大変おかげさまで、Rupa 先生。I'm happy to be back with you again.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining the interview today. 多分以前4年前ぐらい一緒にすごくバズった動画作りましたね。
そうですね。もう4年になりますかね。
あっという間に。
ね、
でも、もし視聴者が見ていってない場合、まず日本語で自己紹介をお願いします、スティーブ。
私はね、日本に9年住んでたんですよ。70年代。
すごいですね。
それで、その時はね、もちろん日本語も勉強しましたし、しかし、日本語とは別に、中国語もフランス語も、もうロシア語もいろんな言葉も勉強したし、最近アラビア語とかペルシャ語も勉強しているわけですけれども、全部その流暢にできるというわけじゃないんですよね。多分、フランス語と日本語は、英語と、に次いでね、割とできるその言語なんですけれども、割とコミュニケーションできるのが10、12ぐらいで、あとは少しこうリフレッシュしないとなかなか難しい。そんな状態です。カナダのバンクーバーに住んでます。リンゴスティーブという YouTube チャンネルを持ってます。それで息子と一緒にね、そのリンク、LINGQ、リンクというその言葉の勉強のためのウェブサイトも作りました。
いいですね。お疲れ様です。Fantastic self-introduction. Okay, and the topic of today I want to discuss is acquiring languages for communication. Okay, 会話向けの勉強法ですね。テストとか受験勉強ではなく、会話を上達方法ですね。So first, I want to talk about routine building, habit building for language learning, since I think it's super important. So, Steve さん。What does your language learning routine currently look like?
Okay, so I agree with you that routines are important because we aren't equally motivated every day.
Yeah.
So those days where I don't really feel like it, we have to fall back on some routines. This is true if you go to the gym to work out. Some days you're tremendously motivated, you're going to go and you're going to work out. And some days you don't really feel like it, but you say, I've committed to go 3 times a week, I'm going.
Exactly.
And so with language learning the same, I think you have to have a certain number of routines. For me, it begins with listening.
Okay.
For a number of reasons. First of all, it's the easiest thing to do.
Okay.
So I can get up in the morning, I have to prepare breakfast for my wife and myself. And so I kind of work in the kitchen and I listen. And I might listen to the latest episode of a podcast in a language that I'm learning. Ideally, I have the transcript so that when there are parts of the podcast that I don't understand, then I can read and I can look up words on link. So listening becomes my trigger. And so that is what my sort of initial activity is. And then I try to promise myself that I should try to read that same podcast or that same content sometime during the day. So if I get in an hour of listening, then I've got a half hour or 45 minutes of working that context, of, so to speak, mining that context, using that content to find new words and phrases, throw them in my brain, forget them, learn them again, forget them again. But that's the routine.
Perfect. I think that's a really good point, what you said there. Don't just learn them, but make sure to learn them again, right?
Oh, yeah, because you can't learn them, tie them down, put them in your pocket, and go away. Unfortunately, whatever you learn, you're going to forget.
Exactly, yeah.
And so you have to accept that, and that's part of the routine. So you're just basically washing those new words over your brain. You're going to forget them. You wash them over your brain again, and if you do enough reading and listening, they will show up again, and eventually you'll remember them.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And I love the analogy that you said there, tying it to gym, because in the world of fitness, we always have these new buzz exercises and routines and diets. But if you stick to the core fundamentals and you do them over and over again, and you just have that repetition of the bench press or, the squat, which are the real simple exercises. But if you master those, you're going to make a great body. And I think language learning is quite similar. And I think when talking about habits, one of the most important things is sticking to the habit, okay? So making it a part of our daily life and natural, just like brushing our teeth in the morning. We don't really think about brushing our teeth, we just do it.
Right.
And I really like how you said while you're preparing your breakfast and everything like that, just listen and just do it every day. And eventually it will start to feel weird when you don't do it, right? Do you have any other advice for sticking to a language learning habit? Because I think one really thing amazing about you, Lingo Steve, is that you've been learning languages for so long and you're still doing it every day. You're always picking up a new language or refreshing a language that you've learned in the past. But what habits or what advice would you have to people who want to develop their own habits?
Of course, I'm interested in different languages and different cultures. So now, if you're a person, let's say, who lives in Japan and you're learning English and you need English for work or you need English because you want to go to the States to university or to England or whatever, then it's just the one language. But I'm exploring different languages all the time. So it's my curiosity that drives me, my cultural curiosity. But even for someone who's only doing one language, let's say English, you can be curious in the latest, TV series, or you can be curious about a new book or a podcast on marketing, or find things that you find interesting. And I think your curiosity is going to keep you going. And in my case, my curiosity keeps me going.
Okay, that's great. And of course, you can do all of that on Link, right? Which is the great language learning platform that you've made with your son, Mark.
Right.
Fantastic. Would you like to explain, for people who don't know, a little bit about what Link is in Japanese?
そうですね。言葉の勉強はですね、もちろん目標はコミュニケーションでしょ。はい、しかし、話するよりも前にですね、まず相手の言うことを理解できないと非常に難しいと。だから理解力、まず上げないといけない。
そうですね。
語彙量を上げないといけない。で、リンクというのは、たくさん聞いたり、たくさん読んだり、それを通じていろんな機能があります。どうやってそれできるだけたくさんの新しい単語を覚える。覚えても忘れる。またもう一度見て、また覚える。前にあった単語、また出てきます。それ前にこの単語見たことあるけれども、覚えてませんけども、なるほど、この単語、まだ、100% 自信がないけれども、あったことがあるとか。いろんな形でですね、語彙を増やしていきます。そのリンクでね。そして聞いてる内容とか読んでる内容についてもですね、最初、いわゆる初心者に対しては、繰り返しの多いストーリーがたくさんあります。最初の間は繰り返しが非常に大切なんですよ。あるいは中ぐらいの生徒にとってもですね、この繰り返しが非常に大事。しかし、あとね、じゃあYouTube や Netflix とかポッドキャストとかいろんなところからインターネットから動員してリンクでそれを使えることができます。
僕の動画でもできます。
そうですね。そして最近もね MP3 のファイルがあればWhisper という AI を使ってですね自動的に文章を作るわけですよ。リンクの中で。そして聞いたポッドキャストが聞いても半分しかわからない。しかし読んで知らない単語も保存して探してオンラインの辞書を探してまた自分のデータベースに保存してまたレビューして少しずつ非常に興味のあるいろんな内容から語彙を増やしていく。そうしますと理解力がですね非常に増えてきます。理解力が強いと話するのはもっと簡単です。安心します。相手の言うこと分かりました。自分がね、返事とか何を言うときにですね、ちょっとした混乱があってもですね、相手の言うことは 100% 分かりますというのは非常に安心つけます。で、 この会話においてはですね、やはりその自信が非常に大事なんですよ。だから理解力を増やしていくことによっては自信が増えてきます。で、それはやはりリンクはね、そのインターネットにあるいろんな資源を利用して活用して自分のレベルアップできます。
Perfect explanation. And I love the name of link because it's a link, between you and the language, and it's also about linguistics. So very creative there.
And it's a link to the word and to a meaning in your language, to a meaning in the language you're learning, except it's written L-I-N-G-Q. So some people pronounce it Ling-Q.
All right. Perfect. Yeah, so guys, Link is a very useful platform, and it's also very useful to do what we were talking about before, which is habit building. Because when I use Link, it's almost like a game, right? And then you collect points,
Yes.
and then you can use it and compete with other people. And I really like the website integration. So even if I'm watching Netflix, I can download everything like that, and then use the Netflix scripts.
And you can have it on your iPhone or Android, and it syncs with the web. In other words, it exists on 3 platforms: Android, iOS, and web, and the internet, and they synchronize. So you can be doing it on whichever platform you want. We have over 40 languages, so maybe most people in Japan are interested in English, but if they're interested in Korean or Chinese or Spanish, or even more exotic languages like Armenian, we have lots.
Yeah, it's really amazing. And it's always really fun to pick up like even just a little bit of a third or fourth language, and it kind of reminds you of the time when you were a beginner in learning the second language, because I've been learning Japanese for about, 8 years now or somewhere, and I've got quite good comprehension. Adesso studio l'italiano con Link. È molto divertente.
Benissimo.
Benissimo. Lo consiglio a tutti. Yes, so it's really fun.
You know something? When you study a third language, it makes you better in your second language.
Yeah.
Because it stimulates your language learning capability in your brain. So it's a good thing to do. And it introduces variety. And variety is always important in anything we do.
Exactly. And I think in my case especially, it makes me a lot better as a teacher, because I can now relate with advanced students because I'm learning Japanese on more of an advanced level, and then beginner students because I'm such a beginner in Italian. Okay, so talking a little bit about some of the AI, that's a really hot topic lately. And you mentioned that we can use Whisper. Could you go a little bit more into that?
Well, you hear so much talk about AI, ChatGPT. ChatGPT can generate content. You can talk to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But I don't like doing that.
Okay.
If I'm going to talk to someone in a language, I'd rather talk to a person. However, what is useful is Whisper, because there is an abundance of audio content on the internet, TV programs, radio programs, MP3 files, podcasts, and very often without transcript. And without transcript, a lot of it just passes me by. I listen to it, I don't understand it. But if you've got a 5, 10, 15, 20, 30-minute MP3 file, you just drag and drop it, and lo and behold, it will produce a very accurate transcript.
Perfect. So everyone definitely go check out those. That's going to be really beneficial to your English studies. I think gone are the days of just, pens and textbooks and things like that, There's so much new technology we can use online or with AI, and it's really going to make our language learning journey a lot more fun.
But I wouldn't knock pen and paper, because I think writing by hand is also very good for us cognitively in terms of processes in our brain. So I think we talked about variety in the gym, variety of activities at Link, variety in our language learning, and I think writing by hand has a place. I don't do it much because I'm under no pressure. Like I'm not going to write an exam, but if I were going to write the TOEFL or the TOEIC exam, I think I would do a bit of writing by hand.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In English, if I were, say, a Japanese learner.
Yeah, perfect. Well, that was all about Link. And just to, make sure everyone knows that it's the real deal here, Steve, how many languages have you studied on Link?
Oh, how many I've studied on Link? It's got to be more than a dozen.
Wow.
Because before we created Link, I wrote a book called The Linguist, a language learning odyssey. And at that time, I knew 9 languages.
Okay.
And then we created Link, and it's now over 20.
Wow.
But I have also, some of those 9 languages I have improved on Link, like my Spanish, my Portuguese, even my German. So, I mean, it's certainly more than a dozen or 15 languages that I have studied on Link. And I can see my statistics on Link. I can see when I started them, how much I studied, how many words I read, how many words I looked up, how many hours I listened. That's an important point, you know. The important thing in language learning is to be active.
Yeah.
And if you are active, you will improve. And so we track people's activity. We want you to be active.
Very good point there. Very good. And that's the proof is in the pudding, right? As they say, the proof is
Absolutely.
right there. Yeah, so in this video, we're going to have all the information about Link in the description below. So if anyone's interested, they can go check it out. Of course, we're also going to have Lingo Steve's YouTube channel, a great source, because you have a lot of videos in English as well, right?
Oh yeah, my videos are mostly in English because that's the common language for a lot of my viewers. But I have videos in Russian, I have videos in Japanese and Chinese and in lots of different languages.
Yeah, so any language you want
French,
to learn,
Spanish.
Lingo Steve's channel has got you covered. A great place for language learning, immersion, and great interesting content. And it's interesting how you talk about learning the language in the language that people want to learn. So it's a bit of 2 birds, 1 stone. 一石二鳥ですね。
Yep, absolutely.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thanks so much, Steve. 最後に何か、英語を勉強している皆さん、言語を勉強している皆さん、向けて応援メッセージとかありますか？
まあできるだけその楽しく、だから頑張ってくださいというよりも、もう楽しく勉強してください。その楽しく勉強できるように方法を探してください。だから面白い内容とか、好きな勉強方法を選んで、できるだけ楽しく勉強してください。続ければ必ず流暢になります。
Fantastic. And that links back as well. Learn from the content you love.
Exactly.
Okay, thanks so much, Steve. It was great to talk to you again.
Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
お疲れ様でした。
いやいや、どうもありがとうございました。
Okay, thanks so much, Steve. Take care.
Bye-bye.
And thanks for watching, everybody. That was a great interview with Lingo Steve. If you've learned something new, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out link in the description box below. Stay happy, stay healthy, do your best with your English studies. じゃあ、ありがとう。また今度。Okay, thank you so much, Steve.